What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 10 of X and O's with Evan and Bros. I am your most gracious host, Evan. Joining me at the desk today is Mr. L. Daddy Sailor. Got it.
Tossin, you suck.
Yes, T, you suck. Tossin was supposed to be here with us today, and he is not. So, fuck you. That's all I got to say.
There's just one curse word.
Yeah, it's my one.
It.
I get one, and that's it. I used it on T. So
you used it within the first minute.
T should feel special. Joining us through Zoom is Mr. Broderick Olin.
I feel like I'm one of the only people who's willing to get up at like 9:30 to do
Well,
this.
EJ has an excuse. He's been working this week.
EJ's got a good excuse. I don't know what Grant's been up to. I haven't
I
seen
called
in
him
a while.
yesterday, and I heard like an ocean and a crowd, and I was like, all right, that's enough of that, and I hung up right away. I had my answer.
Tossin, what you doing, bro?
So Dawson texted us at 9:45, and he was like, what'd he say?
I have a headache. I'm out of it today. And then he was out. We called him like 9 times.
He was like, I'd be no use to y'all. And he dipped.
I think they're just scared to get clowned by us.
Well,
We have the superior takes.
Dawson takes a lot of abuse, and I'd be worried about his mental health because he does take a lot of. He gets shat on for sure. But this is episode 10. We're in double digits, y'all.
Flowing.
Woo! It's going by. This has been so far a great, first, 3 weeks, and I hope it continues because this has been a fun ride. Just like the ride that we've been on, it's been fun. We have some fun topics today. First up, Keenan Allen of the Los Angeles Chargers / San Diego Chargers, formerly known as, feels disrespected by the NFL Top 100 list. We'll go a little more in depth on that. Next, we'll give our top 5 NFL rankings of wide receivers. Maybe he's on our list. Maybe not. He's not. So he's not that high up.
Spoiler, he's not on any of our lists.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. That's why we're going to talk about him in the first segment, so we don't have to talk about him in our second. With an off season of changes in the NFL, which we don't normally see, a lot of star players switching homes. We don't really see that a lot. We're going to pick one player each who we believe could use a change of scenery in the NFL. The Miami Marlins, MLB team, Derek Jeter, his squad, have 14 players and coaches tested positive for coronavirus. Uh-oh. What could that mean for the... What could that mean for the MLB and the future of it? Now, they played... Who did the Marlins play? Did they play? Did they just play? Where were they at their
They just
weekend?
played the Yankees.
So now the Yankees are like, oh shit.
So the Yankees have to quarantine right now because
Yeah.
I think them and the Phillies are waiting on test results.
So MLB could be in trouble before it really even gets off the ground. That's why you got to be in the bubble. That's why the NBA has a chance to do it. That's why the NFL might not. We're also going to talk about Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets donating $1.5 million to the WNBA for if a player decides to opt out of the season due to injury or personal reasons. He's donating to that fund. Also, Dante Hightower of the New England Patriots has decided to opt out of the season. They've given up like a $8 million, close to $9 million contract. I think the players that opt out make around $150,000. I'll say I would opt out too. Which $150,000 is not a bad payday. right?
I was totally confused about what you meant, but I get it now.
I would take 150K.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and they
do
probably
nothing?
they probably already have like money backed up, and obviously a lot of them live a pretty probably luxurious lifestyle. So I think 150 is a great deal because you probably have already made a lot of your money anyway in that contract. So does this leave room for Clowney to come into town to join Cam? Will we agree? Who knows? But that is why you are here, the audience and listeners, to find out. Now, Eldad, hit that intro.
X's and O's with Evan Ambrose. Yeah.
Hey, T.
Okay, it's X's and O's with Evan and Bros. Of course, it's a talk show, man, talking about sports. The one and only Evan Miller, yeah, that's your host, doing analyzing with the side of jokes. Ayy, X's and O's with Evan and Bros. X's and O's with Evan and Bros. X's and O's with Evan and Bros. Ayy, analyzing with the side of jokes.
So every year the NFL players participate in the NFL Network's top 100. They vote. They're the ones who vote on this list. I don't know how the votes are accumulated together. If I said that word correctly, I might have butchered it.
I don't know what word you were saying.
Yeah.
Well, the votes are put together, and I don't know how,
Accumulated.
Anyway, so I don't know how these votes are put together and how players are then adjusted to their preferred their designated ranking. But Keenan Allen feels disrespected, and he has to let the whole world know about it. So I actually love it. I think anytime an NFL player voices his opinion, whatever area that is, it's better for the sport because it makes it more like the NBA. I like seeing these personalities of these players come out and so on and so forth. But, Keenan, you can't really call other players out when you feel disrespected. You can't say, now, he also humbled himself because he also said he knows he's not better than some specific other guys. And that's part of the guys on our top 5 list. But it's also bold to be like, I'm better than Mike, better than Tyreek, which, better than Chris, which the stats really don't back you up on that. Now, I do agree where I think he's underappreciated. I think it falls from being in San Diego and being out there. Maybe in Los Angeles, he gets a little notoriety. Probably not, though, because they're still the ugly stepchild to the Rams. But I think Keenan Allen is top 8 wide receiver, definitely top 10. We can all agree top 10. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When they were showing his highlights, because that's all they show on the top 100. But his route running really is second to none. I mean, he was creating. He's not the biggest. He's not 6'4". He doesn't have this body mass where he can just not like Mike Williams on the other side, his teammate. But so he has to have great route running to do the separation to create the separation that he does. And watching him do it yesterday, I was like, oh, I do want that guy on my team. But he does have a little injury history. He's been in the league since 2013. So I think the last 2 seasons, though, he's been healthy. So good. Let's continue to have more healthy seasons from Keenan Allen. But do I think should he have clapped? No. Well, yes, he should clap back at his ranking because I respect the hunger for it. But to call out some of the players that he did, which we don't even know their spots yet. He's assuming that they're higher, and maybe the NFL players do know something. They know positions-wise. Or maybe he heard through the grapevine, through the wide receiver group chat, that, hey, guess what? I'm going to be on next week's episode. I don't know. But I like it. But maybe you shouldn't have probably called out Tyreek. reigning Super Bowl champion Tyreek Hill, who kept the drive alive in that him and Patrick Mahomes both, but find the spot in the zone, 50 yards downfield, and dude's so good. I know that play probably lives in your nightmares, doesn't it? 49ers fan.
Why was he open?
Why was he open? So I'm going to toss to Eldad first. Do we like Keenan, clapping back at the haters and being vocal? Or do you think he could have toned it down a bit and maybe, hold it back? Because, come on, top 100.
Yeah, honestly, who cares about the rankings, really? But calling out players is a little sketchy. A lot of people don't like Michael Thomas for it because he calls out literally every player that says something that he remotely finds disrespectful.
I just wish Michael Thomas didn't speak. His voice is too funny.
It's tough.
It's tough to be that good but sound like that. He sounds like he should be on Sesame Street.
Same about Mahomes from the first time I heard him speak. He's just one of those players that
you shut your mouth, Broderick. You shut your mouth. It does match him.
It's not it's not a bad voice. It's just the voice doesn't match.
I think it adds to his charisma in his childlike way he plays. I think if you had a guy who throws behind no look passes and he sounded like, I don't know, like Peyton Manning, you'd be like, you can't take this guy serious. But the way he sounds like Kermit the Frog, come on. All right, keep going.
But it is interesting that he called out these three. It is a very tough crowd to call out. Tyreek, I think we all agree on, is better than him. Mike Evans and Randy Moss are the two receivers to start their careers off with 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah, but I feel like I've seen that stat thrown around with every star receiver that has ever existed.
But never 6.
So you're
maybe
telling
5, but
not 6.
But all right, so who's been in the league for 5 years? I don't know if this player has done this, but take Stephon Diggs. All right. Say he's had 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He's going to join the freaking list next year. I know OBJ didn't because he got hurt. But that's another one where it's I assume that there's a player that's just going to join them on that list the year later.
Yeah.
You're not wrong, but it's the list right now is still only 2 people.
The list right now is 2. But in terms of this past year, most complete receiver was Chris Godwin. Now, part of that might be the fact that he plays as the number 2 behind Mike Evans. His breakout game was against the Rams. Most of the catches he had was on nickel Roby Coleman, who's a pretty good slot corner, but is also not Jalen Ramsey or Marcus Peters. I don't remember who was there at the time.
Did he get traded, Marcus, before the deadline?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. But so against man coverage, they're actually all pretty equal in terms of estimated points added. Their value is pretty much the same. There's not really any difference. But against zone, Mike Evans is actually pretty bad. He has a negative estimated points added. It's negative 0.14.
Well, you know why? It's kind of hard for him to disappear on the field.
Oh, yeah.
Standing out.
You're not losing him.
You're not losing him.
But Keenan's 0.13, so he's not adding a ton of value, but it's not terrible. And then Godwin's at 0.68. Now, part of that is probably because he catches a lot down the middle. He is that zone buster, while Mike Evans
pretty much go routes, and then
Mike Evans attracts the defense, and then Godwin's just wide open there. But that's why Godwin probably is going to be higher on this list, just because for the 2019-2020 season, statistically, he is better. The NFL players thing is weird, where some of it seems legacy oriented, JJ Watt still being as high as he is, above a Darius Leonard who played really, really well. But this season, again, Keenan Allen, Godwin, Evans, they're all in that 6-10 range, 6-10, 6-11. It's really splitting hairs at that point.
Well, that's what we were saying, how it feels like with wide receivers especially, one guy can have a breakout year, or Chris had a breakout year, and guess what? He's ranked higher than Keenan.
Yeah. Well, look at DJ Chark too. He could go up the list anytime too. He had a great year.
It just these wide receivers are kind of we have probably the top 3 guys, and then the next 7, 8 are very interchangeable with whatever you prefer. Some guys have size. Some guys have speed. Some guys have route running. It just depends what you want in your wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Broderick, thoughts on Keenan slapping these fools across Twitter?
I agree with Eldad when he's saying it's hard to judge Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in comparison, because we know Mike Evans was a good receiver before Chris Godwin got there. But with Godwin, we haven't seen him perform really without Mike Evans. So it's very difficult to judge whether Keenan Allen is better.
And Godwin's been in the league it's not like this was a rookie year or even second year. He's been in the league for about 3 years now. And so now he's having a breakout season.
He's just not having the breakout
Well,
season.
he had one. It was like outlier touchdown season. I think he had 8 touchdowns, even though he caught like 30 passes the entire season. I think that was either his first year or second year. But this is like his breakout year for sure.
Yeah. So I'd like to see Godwin perform by himself before I would put him over Keenan Allen. But
maybe he's one of your players who could use a change of scenery.
Yeah. Keenan Allen, I think he could benefit from a change of scenery, not to take away from the next topic, but he's not my pick, but he's someone who's definitely up there. And I guess he's an honorable mention.
You know
it's
what?
just
He would have looked
the Los Angeles Chargers won't get much screen time or
I know.
much viewership. So I feel like people see his stats. It's like, oh, he's a good receiver, but he's not in those primetime games and he's not playing on the best
that was
teams.
my point. Being stuck in San Diego for all those years, and then now it doesn't help that the freaking Kansas City Chiefs are going to be running the division for the next 10. It just, everything is against him, which, again, I think he's very underappreciated. I love Keenan Allen.
Yeah, when you're saying watching his route running, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful what he can do. Oh my! And again, I was saying to Elda, I was like, I didn't realize how I always put physical attributes way higher than route running. I think every GM does. I don't think that's an uncommon thing. Look at DK Metcalf, dude sucked at route running, but he's a physical of a specimen. With Keenan, watching him. Again, it's highlights, so of course they're going to choose the best, to choose the best cuts and things like that. But damn,
he did come out this year and he was like, "I'm always open, just throw me the ball." I think he's right.
But I feel like now he's not going to have a good quarterback. I mean, Tyler Taylor's not bad, but he's not Phillip Rivers. Even with Phillip Rivers in a decline,
Phillip was throwing ducks out there, bro.
Yeah, so maybe Keenan might be a deadline deal or something like that, and hopefully you get to a good quarterback and a good system. But when you just watch him run routes, he's right. He's open so often. And I also like seeing this type of trash talk. Evan, like you said, the NBA kind of has this. Like you have like 5 to 10 players say they're the best in the world, and no one really bats an eye or says like, oh, this is something wrong. Like Deion Sanders went out and said, oh, you shouldn't be saying this.
Let your play talk.
I guess it would be better if he just said, like, I'm a top 5 receiver, not I'm better than so.
That's what we were saying, where it's like, yes, you can say you're the best or give yourself a range or whatever.
You can't say these guys, they're trash.
It's hard to call out players when their stats are backing them up, too. It's not like...
I guess to defend that point or to go against, it's kind of tough to say you're top 5 but not 1 through 3, so I don't think any player would want to say I'm the 4th or 5th best receiver in the NFL. So I feel like now he kind of has to call those 4 through 6 range out.
Well, what he could do is seriously, he could say I'm one of the best in the league. I think the spot's too low. And saying you're one of the best in the league could range from. Because he even says in this tweet how he knows he's not he's not
the fastest, the strongest, but
he knows he's not probably our number 1 wide receiver, which everybody wishes they were, which is the standard of the league, and has been for the last 2011 9 years. So we love Keenan Allen. He would be a great player to pick to change scenery, just because the quarterback hell could be for a long time. Let's move on. Let's start our top 5. We've had enough Keenan Allen talk. Sadly, he won't be making our list.
Solid 8.
Yeah.
Maybe 9.
I think 8 8,
He's
7.
definitely top 10.
Yeah, top 10, 8, 7, 9. You could probably go around somewhere around there. Because again, I think there's 5 guys, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen. I mean, I could argue Devontae Adams. I guess Mike Evans are kind of all in this sphere, Again, all number 1 wide receivers, but there's the guys that I think are a little higher are just that much better. So I'll start off. My 5th wide receiver is going to be Tyreek Hill. I think
Agreed.
you agree? Good. So
yeah, he's at 5.
Yeah, so he's right at 5. So that's why I had problem with Keenan calling him out, just because he is in the top 5. I think you can argue his top 5 based off his speed alone and what he can do over the top. Reason why he's probably not higher is because his other physical attribute is he's like 5'9", and the other guys do have a combination of speed, possession catching, and they can do a little more of what you ask for them. Yes, Tyreek is a dog, and he will attempt to go up and get it.
And he does it sometimes.
He does, and I'm not saying he doesn't. That's the thing why he is number 5. But that's why I can't put him higher, because like my number 1, my number 2, number 3, you can maybe argue 4 for him, but my 1 through 3 can go and get it over the top, over the middle. They can attack you at any point on the field. So this is no knock on Tyreek. I love Cheetah. He's going to be winning tons of Super Bowls and lots of sprints and lots of races. But he is my number 5th wide receiver in the NFL. Broderick, since you agree with me, thoughts on Tyreek being number 5?
Similar points. He does one thing, but he does that one thing better than anyone in the history of the NFL.
But he does a lot of other things really good too. I don't want to take away that he's not.
Yeah. No, he's still a good route runner and stuff, but just that speed. No one's catching him on the field. Safeties have to prepare for him. That opens up so much for Patrick Mahomes. But just the fact that you have to just be aware of Tyreek Hill when he's on the field and make sure he doesn't beat you deep.
Yeah.
And just the fact that Mahomes can launch that ball 60, 70 yards
and
down
get
the field
it to him
and hit him at any point.
Yeah.
It's just he's so dangerous. I mean, he still would be that dangerous on any team. It just helps when your quarterback can launch the ball basically the full length of the field.
Agreed.
But yeah, I agree with you for the most part. If he had better size, he'd be higher up on the list. But just that 5'9", 5'10" frame kind of keeps him towards the bottom of the top 5.
Do y'all see that high schooler Mossum? He was playing DB, and this high schooler who was taller than him mossed him. So again, height, he would be higher. He would be higher. Eldad, who's your 5th wide receiver on the list? I know you got some stats here.
My 5 is Devontae Adams.
Okay, I'm not mad at. I like Devontae.
I just think you look at the people around him too, like Geronimo Allison, Valdez Scantling. It's not like there's not a lot of guys there to really attract the defense. And even in his obviously his first couple of years were really plagued by drops. He was pretty bad.
He was. It was hard to watch because I actually did not want Aaron Rodgers to throw it to him.
And he was so good at Fresno State coming out of college and just did not have any of those problems. But his touchdown numbers are just ridiculous. This past year he was obviously hurt with I think it was a toe injury, and he still had 997 yards and 5 touchdowns, and I think only 12 games. So he was on pace for a monster year. But the 3 full seasons before this, he had 13, 10, and 12 touchdowns. He basically leads the league, or is close to the league lead, every single year. And his yardage numbers last year was really his best. He had 1,400 yards. But they've never been super impressive. But now that he's Aaron Rodgers had Jordy Nelson too, who's getting yards. Now that he's the number 1, I think he's 5th. I think he's better than the Mike Evans, the Keenan Allen tier.
I think he's better than Mike Evans. I think I'll have him at 6. He's an honorable mention, I guess, at 6th spot. Yeah. What do you think about his 5th?
His 5th is my 4th. So.
Oh well, how about you take it away?
I mean, Eldad kind of covered it. There's not many other receivers there to help out Adams. because that's where Evans and Godwin get a little bit knock on the list. It's just they're mutually beneficial. They both can create some separation because of the threat of the other. Devonta Adams doesn't have that. Like you said, Geronimo Allison's probably the number 2 receiver there. And I remember there was one play where Devonta Adams is running across the field. He's being triple to quadruple covered. And then after the play, Adams just sits there and counts out all the DBs that are covering him just because there's no one else on the field that is even remotely a threat. And as Eldad also said, he's still posting these insane numbers. He missed 4 games this year because of turf toe. I think it was turf toe. And he still put up great numbers. And the 3 years prior, double-digit touchdowns with not much help on offense. I have him at number 4.
I'll go next. Well, it's Tyreek your number 4?
He is my number 4.
You go ahead.
It's just his gravity. You do have to make sure that you have to make sure you know exactly where he is on the field, which the Niners didn't. But I mean, what else can you say? He is the fastest guy. His route running has improved every year he's been in the league. He contributes on punt returning, kick returning, and he's not a terrible blocker either for his size.
No.
Yeah, I have him at 4. I think he's below the top 3.
All right, so I'm going to throw a curveball at y'all.
God.
Don't be. I'm not going to lie. His name left my head right now, and I had him. He was right there. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Run through people.
Amari Cooper.
No. I love Amari, but no.
Thielen.
No. Ew, no.
Diggs?
Not Diggs. I like Diggs, but no. Oh, my God.
I assume it's not any of Hopkins, Julio, or Thomas. Because I feel like all those 3 are all in the top 3.
Top 3.
Odell.
Thank you. Oh, my God. I could not think of OBJ. Oh, my God.
I'm a Browns fan, and I don't even have Odell
All
in my
right.
top 5.
But you know why you don't have him in your top 5? Because the production is not there for the last 2 years since he really been in Cleveland. Since they brought him over, he's kind of sucked. And then the year prior to that, he was hurt.
He still had 1,000 yards this past season.
But it's not.
It was
It's not top
1,000.
5 numbers. We're talking top 5, right?
Mhm.
We're not talking top 10 or top 11, 12, wherever you want to put them. Because originally, think about it. Go back to the 2015 season. People had him and Julio Jones 1 and 2.
Mhm.
Him, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones 1 and 2 and 3. They're 1A, 1B, 1C. And then he's had a little injury history recently with his ankle and things like that. And then he hasn't been entirely healthy for the Cleveland Browns or available, even though he did put up 1,000 yards this past year. But I believe, but that whole offense was wonky anyway. But I believe he's been in the system for 3 years now. He's coming up on the 3rd season he's been in Cleveland.
This is his 2nd season in Cleveland.
This is second season?
Second season.
Second season?
He's only spent 1 year with us.
So second season in Cleveland. I believe he will return. He's not better than the 3 guys that I have. But I think he will return to that OBJ in the Big Apple that we all love to see. That's fun to watch. That's really, I think he's really business oriented now because I think he does feel disrespected, but in a different way than Keenan Allen. Because OBJ was at the top.
Yeah, I think people don't even have him top 10 now.
That's what I'm saying. He was that 1A receiver.
And he's still in my top 10 just because of talent, but just the production hasn't been there the past few years.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think he will be there this year, coming up. I think he will dominate. I'm hoping because they need him to. They really need him to. Yes, they have a strong run game, but this, hate to say it, this might be a prove it year for Baker.
Oh, no, it's definitely.
Especially coming from a Cleveland fan. I think it is a prove it year for Baker because the way some of the other quarterbacks are performing, you can't really have a lot of excuses. They promoted your guy to head coach. It failed. Bad. They brought in a new guy. Yes, you might see people who would. I think he will play next year, even if he has a bad year this year. But I think in a lot of fans' minds and a lot of the media, which we are considered, prove it year. So that is why I'm putting OBJ at number 4, because he has to help Baker deliver it in 2020, 2021. Do I think they're going to win the division? No. Could I see a wild card playoff spot? Easily. They're probably better than the Steelers right now. Maybe. That's going to be a dogfight between them and Pittsburgh.
It's basically our offense versus their defense. That's how it really boils down to.
I mean,
I think.
Pittsburgh still has some good offensive players.
Yeah, but
Juju and Ben.
When you look at our offense,
Ben's getting all of his sins out there.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with y'all.
Hey guys, take this moment to like and subscribe. And also follow us on the Instagram and Twitter at Curbside Entertainment and at Curbside Network, respectively. You can also find us on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
Hey guys, welcome back to X and O's with Evan and Bros. We are continuing our top 5 wide receivers. We're going to take a quick break, but my number 4 is OBJ. OBJ is my number 4 wide receiver. I know he's had a rough couple 2 years post-injury. I think he'll come back stronger and better than ever this year because it's a prove-it year, not just for him, but for also Baker. OBJ was at the top of the mountain. People back in 2015, 2016, people considered him, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, 1A, 1B, 1C as the top wide receivers. That's different from the Keenan Allen argument. Keenan's never seen the top of that mountain. Keenan's never been considered that top 5, maybe top 5, but never that number 1 wide receiver. OBJ has. I think he'll come back. He has the talent to do it. He has the work ethic to do it. I think it's all business for him. I think the blonde hair is back, he said. He's ready to ball out.
let's go.
For Cleveland and lead them to a first-round exit in the playoffs.
I'll take it.
But Cleveland will be in the playoffs this coming year. I was not on the hype train this past one, but I do think they have to do it for Baker, or Baker will not be in a Cleveland Browns uniform next year. So moving on to my third wide receiver. I think my third wide receiver will be Mr. Nuke, a.k.a. DeAndre Hopkins.
He is a pretty similar list.
He is the. I think we all have a similar list. He is the newly required Arizona Cardinal from the Houston Texans, which is a steal, especially seeing what Jamal Adams just went for. Bill O'Brien, maybe you should relieve yourself as the GM duties if you want to help your roster, if you want to help your team succeed. But talking about DeAndre Hopkins, this guy has the size. He has the hands. This man can catch anything. He might have the best hands on this list. You can argue. But he's not my number one. But he was doing it early on in his career without Deshaun Watson. Now that he finally got Deshaun Watson, they trade him away. The irony is so sad. But I love Nuke. I think he's going to do massive numbers for Arizona. He fits right into that system, that air raid, 5 wide receivers on the field all at once. I think Cliff Kingsbury is going to get creative with it, and he gets to join Larry Fitzgerald, who's on a farewell tour. So I believe he's on a farewell tour. I think this is actually very fitting, is Larry being the number 1 receiver in Arizona for so long. He gets to pass the baton to DeAndre Hopkins and let him take the lead. And DeAndre has a lot of swagger. He has a lot of that, which he hates being disrespected. He believes he's the number 1 wide receiver, and he has an argument to be number 1, but he's not my number 1. And I don't think he's the guys at this panel's number 1 either. But Nuke, you're great. You're amazing. I hope you do wonders in Arizona for Kyler's career. You deserved better than Texas, than the Texans. So good on you, buddy. I wish you could have brought Deshaun Watson with you. So Nuke is my number 3 wide receiver. Who's in agreement?
Maybe.
All 3 of us. So let's all gush over DeAndre Hopkins being number 3. Eldad, you lead off.
Yeah, I really don't question that he's going to come into Arizona and just have the same level of production, if not higher.
If not higher.
I'm way more interested to see what Deshaun Watson does without him. I think that's a way more interesting storyline.
Does Fuller step up?
for like 4 games and then gets hurt
Does Brandon Cook step up?
for 4 games
For like
and
8
then
games
gets
and then
hurt.
gets hurt.
Well, good.
Does Kenny
So-
still step up?
So you rest Fuller for the first 8, play Cooks. Then Cooks gets hurt, and then you play Fuller for the rest half of the season. That's perfect.
Boom.
But then playoffs, you play 2 games and then they're both hurt.
I mean, if they make it,
1 game.
one game,
I think they might. Yeah.
maybe. Keep going.
But didn't he just recently go? Was it this past year or the year before where he didn't have a drop on a catchable target?
I think that was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
I think this past year he had maybe 1 or 2.
But like I would argue he does have the best hands in the league. There's 1 through 3. If you have any of those guys, you're happy. I mean, they're the clear top tier.
Yeah.
Any one of them can be. It really is game to game. Like
It-
one can have like a 200-yard game, and then he's number 1. And then the next week, another one has a 200-yard game.
And then
He's number 1.
Yeah.
But I saw Hopkins eviscerate the Cowboys on that double spin move.
Oh, I was
Set
going to
up the
mention
field
that.
goal. Yeah.
Hopkins
3.
had me sold on that double spin. Once I saw that double spin, I'm like, he's top 3.
I would say the only thing kind of holding him back is he's not super fast. I'd say
He's more of a possession receiver.
yeah.
I agree. He's not. He doesn't have the burn ability. And again, that's why I think a lot of these guys they do some things very well. I mean, amazing. They do some things amazing. But that's why, again, my number 1 is pretty much the total package. Roger, thoughts on DeAndre Nuke Hopkins, because he is your number 3.
You guys kind of mentioned it all. Man's just a beast.
I'll let
He's
you
gonna do
lead
great
with
things
number
in
2 then.
Arizona. Yeah, all right. My number 2 is Michael Thomas.
Yep. He's my
Only
number
reason
2
this-
as well.
Only reason this guy isn't number 1 is just because my number 1, who everyone
he
should
said-
guess, has just been doing it for 4 or 5 more years. Michael Thomas did have an amazing year, led the league in receptions and yards, and he was able to do it with and without Drew Brees. If he keeps up this production for another year, I feel like Mike Thomas might be number 1. Curious to see what he's going to do without Drew Brees, because he did play well with Bridgewater for a couple of games, but I want to know what he does with Winston if Brees gets hurt or Brees decides to retire. So interesting to see what Mike Thomas will do with the rest of his career.
All done.
Yeah, Mike Thomas is my number 2 as well. I think if we're going off this past year, I'd have him as 1. But it is these past like 6 years, it's been Julio or AB. Before that, Julio or Megatron, Julio or Odell, Julio or Michael Thomas.
Now, yeah.
It's always Julio is the constant. I think right now there's a pretty strong argument to be made that Michael Thomas is the best receiver.
Well, what's the year difference?
It's 4 years.
4
I think
years?
Mike's 26 and Julio's
31.
like around 30, 31. Yeah.
So come on. And we're still talking about our number 1 as the number 1. And he has a 4-year, 5 year, and Julio's old for his
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
Because I think AJ Green is still 29. AJ's either 29 or just turning 30.
Yeah.
And I think Julio will be turning 32 this year.
No, he's currently 30 years old, so he'll be turning
Yeah,
31 this
31.
year.
Julio's turning 31. So,
Unless the data I looked at was wrong.
well, I think the NBA.com still has
everybody wrong.
everybody. But keep going about Michael.
But if you look at all of his statistics, like yards per route run, he was like significantly ahead of number 2, which was Stephon Diggs. He was like 0.2 yards per route run, which is really significant because the difference between Stephon and Tyreek Hill is 0.2, and that's the difference between 2 and 4. And then Julio's at 5, also at like 2.4. And then like Pro Football Focus's grades, Michael Thomas and Julio and Chris Godwin are all basically the same grade. And in terms of catch rate, Michael Thomas had the highest catch rate in the league, ahead of guys like Adam Humphries, elite, at like 83%. He's just the total package. I hate when people say all he does is run slants and short routes, because if it really was that easy, then, I mean,
Everybody-
Julio would do it. DeAndre would do it. Everyone would. His past year, he had 149 catches, 1,725 yards, and 9 touchdowns. And then talking about the versus Drew Brees and Drew Brees versus Teddy Bridgewater, his catches went down by 1 from 10 to 8. His yards went down from 120 to 106, which is still ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then his touchdowns per game stayed about the same. So, I mean, he performs regardless of who's the quarterback.
I mean, I do think Teddy's the starting quarterback. It will be interesting to see, post Lasix Jameis Winston, what he can do with Michael if he gets the chance next year. Because Michael's still, Michael's 26. We said he's in the middle of his prime.
Yeah,
and he'll be in his prime till. I think wide receivers have a long shelf life, so he could be in his prime till 30.
Which matches
33.
up with Jameis. They'd have similar primes. It's definitely not Taysom Hill. He's like 32 already.
Yeah, it's not. It will be Jameis Winston will be the New Orleans Saints starting quarterback if it all pans out the way he's hoping it will, and if the system works. Again, it could not work, and he could be in a new city next year. Our number 1 is all the same. Let's all say it at once. 3, 2, 1. Julio Jones.
Thielen.
Hey, Thielen's a beast, but he's not on this
Julio.
list. It is Julio Jones. Julio Jones is by far the best wide receiver in the league. Yes, if you're going off this year, I would say Michael Thomas probably edges him out. But Julio, I think also the amount of targets that Michael Thomas kind of inflates his numbers. He is, but you still have to catch him. You still have to perform, and But if Julio, say the Falcons win that Super Bowl in 2016, it was our freshman year, 2016, 2017 Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been Super Bowl MVP. The things he was doing in that game were monstrous. It was absurd. And if you hadn't known Julio Jones by that time, you're crazy. You're not a fan. But that definitely on the biggest stage possible, he showed up. And he's been showing up since coming into the league in 2011. When it was him or Megatron. Coming in rookie year. Him or Megatron. Him or AB. Him or OBJ. Him or Michael Thomas. It's always him.
Him or DeAndre.
Him or DeAndre. The year, I would say a year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. 2 years ago. He would get injured. I think Julio's been he's had an injury history. But I also think it's because he's been that number 1 apex wide receiver getting the hit, and he goes over the middle. He goes over the top. He goes everywhere on the field. And his run after catch is what's also impressive. Because he has the speed to take it to the house. He has the size to shug off the smaller defenders. The dude, you can't say enough about Julio Jones. It's been a pleasure to watch him from Bama to the Falcons and dominate still. He's arguably the greatest Falcon player of all time. That's what's crazy. At a position that relies on your quarterback.
Yeah.
And he's been blessed to have Matt Ryan, who's been, if you saw our top 5 quarterback wide receiver combos, we all respect Matt Ryan. We all love Matt Ryan. I think he's underrated, but Julio makes him that much better. So Julio Jones is the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL for like the 10th year in a row. Broderick. Julio.
Don't really need to say much more. He probably would have had one of the greatest catches in Super Bowl history if the Falcons won. I mean, you two
He
probably know what I'm
mossed
talking
3
about.
guys
That
on the sideline catch. I think there's 3 defenders he went over, and Stephon Gilmore is on that defense. Absurd.
He caught over one person, but I'm pretty sure it was Gilmore right in front of him, and he somehow toe taps in, and he put the Falcons in field goal range, and then Kyle Shanahan just kind of blows it. They get sacked twice. They're out of field goal range. Patriots come back. So if they're just converted that and got a field goal, Falcons win the Super Bowl. Julio's then probably like a top 5. He's already, I would say, like a top 10 receiver all time. Would you say?
So if Julio Jones retires right now, Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would,
Yeah.
I would
But
say
he's
yes.
he's like the only wide receiver we can say that about. And he's 30 years old, turning 31.
hmm
He probably has at least, I think he has at least 3 good, really till 34 to be as dominant as he wants to be, because he has that body to be it. He has that work ethic to be it. And again, wide
also
receivers.
he hasn't had an injury, like a serious injury history.
Yeah, he has little nicks and bruises.
Mhm.
Little,
But
little-
every player
but
has
every
that.
player has that. But he has a chance when it's all said and done. I don't know. I mean, I think he has a chance to be, if not the greatest to do it. But again, people, wide receiver, again, I know it's tough, but people will argue Jerry Rice. People will argue Moss. People will argue
Megatron for the amount of time he had.
Megatron, but he's not even Hall of Fame yet. He will be, I think. But just talking the span. You know, wide receiver is such a finicky position, and he works out T.O. constantly. Him and T.O. are really close. But he obviously doesn't have the... And he doesn't have the...
He's quiet. He's quiet.
Do you see Julio Jones be like... Say probably Michael Thomas will be ranked higher than him on the top 100 this year, because
He's not going to say anything.
he's not going to say anything. And you just got to respect
Strictly
that.
business.
It is strictly business when it comes to Julio Jones. He is a pro's pro. He's everything the Falcons wanted to trade up for when they drafted him with the 7th overall pick, 7th or 8th.
Yeah, they traded with the Browns for that pick, and I'm upset we didn't get him.
He would have looked gross in that Cleveland Browns uni. Just saying.
Everyone looks gross in our unis. You just gotta love it. Once you accept it looks gross, it looks great.
Hey, can I just say, there's a lot of players that Cleveland could have drafted over the years, so Julio's
Yes,
not the
I know.
only fish that
I know,
y'all
I
missed
know.
out on.
We're fixing our drafting problems. The past 2 or 3 drafts have been good.
But Julio's clear-cut number 1. He will be I hope, first ballot Hall of Famer. It's kind of crazy because to think how good he was, right? Roddy White was there. And him and Roddy might have been younger. Somebody would have to correct me. But he was probably around the same age when Julio came into the Falcons building. Right?
As
Roddy White is
Julio?
38 right now, so no.
No, 9 years
Roddy
ago.
White
He
was
would've been
much older than Julio.
He would have been like 29.
Oh, you mean like he'd be the age
Oh,
Julio is
okay, I
now.
see
I
what
get
you're
it. Yeah,
saying.
Yeah, he'd be the age that Julio is right now. And they just brought in Calvin Ridley. Julio came in day 1 and stole the number 1 wide receiver. Not stole it because he is a beast, but took that position away from Roddy White. And Roddy was a great wide receiver. At the time, because I was really just getting into the NFL football then, I always thought of him and Reggie Wayne for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because 2 R's. That's always maybe why. I don't know. But I always assumed that they were like some of the best wide receivers in the game. And then Julio came in and took it as the number 1 wide receiver. And they're both around the same time. And Calvin is hopefully on the rise, but we'll see. But yeah. Eldad?
Yeah, I just remember that game where he basically got the entire Carolina Panthers secondary fired.
He got them
Where he
all
had, like,
fired.
300
I remember
yards
that
against
game.
them.
It was insane. They could do nothing.
But I think the one weird thing about Julio's production has always been his touchdowns don't ever seem as high as they should be. And I think it's got a lot to do with just them using him as a decoy for no reason in the red zone and just not targeting him.
Yeah, when
But-
it gets to the red zone, I feel like he gets double covered. And
Do you-
it's
yeah.
like
Do you
Cooper
know his
Ridley
career
picks up the
touchdown?
Yeah, he's got 57 career touchdowns, and he's only had 1 year with double-digit touchdowns at 10.
You see, that's the one knock you can say.
That's
if
the
people,
knock everyone has. I think.
people look at Julio when it's all said and done. Now, that could say, because T.O. has 75.
I think so.
We
I think that's
established
what we
that?
said. Yeah.
So if, say, it would be crazy, but say if Julio Jones comes out, has a double-digit touchdown season this year. So he goes from, what you say, 50.
57.
So he goes from 57 to 68. Say 11, nothing crazy. Just say 11 touchdowns.
Well, kind of crazy.
For
His
him,
career
maybe.
high.
for him, maybe. What's his career high?
10.
Damn.
Which
All right.
it just seems so weird.
So let's say he does go above and beyond. He goes 11 touchdowns this year. He's sitting at 68. I mean, he's only 7 off of T.O. And people would argue T.O. is one of the best wide receivers of all time. You would argue it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, and then he has another season because I don't see him slowing down after just 1 year.
Doesn't look like it.
Say he has another season where he puts up 8, 9, somewhere around there, 8, 9, 10, and then he does surpass that 75 mark. I think if he gets to 80 touchdowns. All right, how about this? Over under. Does he get to 80 touchdowns? Over under. Career.
So he's 39.
He needs 23.
He's at 57. Does he get to 80?
That's tough. It'd have to be, I think his career average is around like 6-ish. Have to be 4 seasons.
But
But he could have some that are higher.
That's what I'm saying.
I say he gets to 80.
Even if he hits 6 touchdowns for the next, because I still think he has 3 to 4 really dominant years. What do we think?
I think yes, but he's gonna have to get, I want to say, somewhere
Between
north
9?
of like 7 or 8 this year.
I think that's
I feel like the production will drop off, and not saying he's gonna be like a bad receiver. He'll still be one of the best receivers in the NFL, but I don't think he will maintain that number 1 status for 4 straight
Are you
years.
correcting yourself?
Terrell Owens has 153 career touchdowns.
Why did we think it's 75?
I think Ocho Cinco might have been 75. But T.O. is at 153, which Julio will not hit. Jerry Rice has 197, which doesn't seem possible. And then Randy Moss is at 156. Larry Fitz at 120. Good stuff.
Then who's at 75?
Is Antonio Brown at 75?
Calvin's at Antonio Brown is at 75. Yep. And Jimmy Graham's at 74. Good stuff, Jimmy.
God,
Jason
Jimmy
Witten,
Graham was
So,
so good.
Will
with
Julio
yards.
catch Antonio Brown?
Julio is currently 96th all-time, tied with Vincent Jackson.
People
Oh,
like
that's
Mike
a name.
Wallace. Out of all people, Mike Wallace. Dolphins great.
he was beast of the Steelers. Well, damn.
Yeah, that's going to be a knock.
God. That sucks. This just made this whole conversation way sour.
Does he catch Jerry Rice? Only
If he
140
averages
to go.
30 a year.
Oh, my God.
Then he might come close.
Come on, Julio. All right, let's move on. Because now I'm pissed. All right, well, apparently Julio needs to change the scenery and go somewhere where he's going to catch the damn ball. All right. Does everybody have a pick for their player that could use? And because there's tons of players in the NFL,
Yeah.
so you have a lot of options. Does anybody have a specific player that they believe if they went to a new team, this could make that team a Super Bowl contender, or this could boost their career stats or season stats? We'll go to Broderick first. Broderick, who's your one player that could define that could use a new team, or maybe that team just like Jamal Adams, that team sucks. Maybe get Sam Darnold out of there. I think Sam Darnold sucks, but who's your player?
Matthew Stafford.
Oh, that's a popular pick.
I think he is a great quarterback who's just been put in an unfortunate situation.
I mean, city, unfortunate city.
I'm not going to knock on Detroit as a city. I'll knock on them as a franchise.
I think as a franchise, they have been worse than the Cleveland Browns, which you can't really say that. Sorry.
I'm a Browns fan, and I would say Browns have been one of the worst ones. I mean, all time,
Detroit
no,
hasn't-
but in recent history, yes.
Well, but
I mean, yes, as the Browns being worse in recent years.
I don't know, man. Detroit has been sucking ever. They've never won a haven't won a playoff game since.
We saw the Browns go 1-31 over 2 seasons.
Yeah.
That's true.
Where it
So-
looked like Corey Coleman was throwing a game for them to go 0-16.
Yeah, Corey Coleman literally threw that game. I'm still in shock about losing that game because Corey Coleman was wide open and
All right.
just dropped the pass. Okay, getting back on topic. Matthew Stafford, if you look at his numbers, he's put up really good numbers. I think he's a top 10-ish quarterback in the NFL.
I think he's better than Matt Ryan.
That's debatable, but
I think
that's
that's how
a
bad
conversation.
Detroit is.
Yeah.
That's a conversation
fair.
for,
I-
I guess, another episode. But yeah, Stafford goes to a better team and a better franchise. Like, imagine if he
What's
went to
your
New
team?
England. I mean, now New England has Cam, so that's kind of out of the question. But just imagine if he's in the
Actually,
New England system.
ditch
that
New
arm
England. You
with
put him in
Belichick.
the Chargers
And it's
with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
just surrounded by some maybe Indianapolis when Phillip Rivers is done there.
Maybe Indy.
Because I think Rivers has a year or two left.
The way he sounds, he wants to play for another 5 years, but I don't think Rivers has it in him. His arm looks like it's ready to go. His elbow, because that's what he throws
Rivers
with.
might need to because he's got like 15 kids.
I know. He has
Gotta
put
pay
so
for
many
all of
kids
them.
for college.
He might need to play 5 more years in the NFL to get some more money.
Dude, just wrap it. I know you're Catholic, but come on, bro. Birth control, man. It's the 21st century. All right, that's a good pick. I'm not Matthew Stafford. He does need a new home for sure. Eldad, who's your pick?
Lamar Jackson. He needs a Super Bowl. The Niners need a Super Bowl. I'm just saying. I think it should happen.
Who's your real number one pick, or who's your real player that could use?
I'd say Le'Veon, just because I don't want to see him average 2 yards per carry.
Yeah.
This year, next year, the year after that. I think at this point he kind of wants to prove it on the Jets, though, because I think a lot of people are doubting him.
like
but-
earn that contract.
Yeah, but I
He
would like
really-
to see him go anywhere else.
He never should have left Pittsburgh.
Agreed. Also, free Josh Rosen. Somebody try him. Just
That's
Try helping
that's one.
him.
I don't understand why people have failed him.
yeah.
It's not him.
He had the worst team, the worst offensive team possibly in NFL history in the Cardinals, and then went to somehow a worse team in the Dolphins.
Dude, I'm surprised that the Patriots did not pick him up.
Yeah,
I
thought
think
they would.
I think he would fit. He doesn't even have to play.
yeah.
Give him a year. Say either Cam does really good and they don't.
He's more
want-
talented than Stidham.
That's what I'm saying. And he's probably smarter than Stidham too.
People just have kind of given up on him.
I know,
Which-
and it's wrong. It's on. I think it's criminal. Because I
Is
love
there
him.
something that NFL GMs know that we don't about him?
There has to be.
Like, I feel like there's a bunch of people that say give Rosen a chance. I mean, there's a similar thing with Cam Newton, where every fan, media sources, or not, I don't want to say media source, but
Pretty
I
much
guess
the media
fans
was saying give him a freaking
sign Cam
chance.
Newton,
Yeah.
and it took, like, it felt like forever for him to get signed.
Well, it's not even like signing Rosen. It's just like giving him a chance to where he can
Give him an offense. Give him a scheme.
Like,
Give him a line.
He goes, like you said, the worst team, possibly the worst talented possible team of all history, to probably the next second worst offensively or just anywhere team of all time. The dude, nobody can succeed. Tom Brady wouldn't succeed. Patrick Mahomes maybe could succeed. But outside of that, nobody could succeed. I mean, come on, man. All right. My pick, this might be an unpopular one, but I'm going to shoot for the stars. I want Aaron Donald out of Los Angeles.
Mm.
I get it. They're stuck in mediocrity right now.
Especially with the way the 49ers and Seahawks are.
And the Cardinals rising.
And then the Cardinals just got nuked. And I think the Cardinals and the Rams will be vying for that third spot.
And Jalen Ramsey asked Henry Ruggs, who's wearing 22 on the Raiders. So
So that's the thing. The Rams put themselves in a hole when it came to cap. I don't believe in Jared Goff. I don't think he has it in him. I think he's the worst quarterback in that class when you compare it to Dak and Wentz. So I think if you got Aaron Donald out of there, basically kind of like what the Raiders had to move Khalil Mack, and you saw Khalil. Obviously, they're going to be great wherever they go. But the Bears did have that run the first year, and I think the Bears hopefully can get back there. It's just hard because the NFC North is just so competitive between the Vikes, the Packers, and the Bears, and then Lions are. So I would like to see Aaron Donald obviously go to a title contender. Maybe even, obviously nothing absurd, but a dream destination.
Don't
Maybe
say Baltimore.
no, because I don't know if they could even afford him.
that'd be cheating.
I know.
The Niners.
That defensive line would be sick. I don't know. Somewhere where if they had that
The
defense,
Seahawks.
everybody wants to go to the Seahawks. I mean, if he went to the Seahawks, say they let Clowney go,
They'd have a star player at every single.
and they brought in Aaron Donald, keep it in the division because they know how
I
good
wouldn't
he is.
like that.
I know you wouldn't like that, but I might like that. That would
I'd
be
like that.
that would be interesting. Or I tell you what, put him in a Saints uni, black and gold, Aaron Donald, Saints uni, or send him back to Pennsylvania. Put him in Eagles uni actually,
Put him back to Pitt. Why not the Steelers?
not the Steelers, because I don't think the Steelers are going to be winning.
No, please not the Steelers.
I don't think the Steelers. I don't
The
because
defense is already scary enough.
I don't think because I don't think they're going to win offensively. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Take this moment to like and subscribe, and also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Curbside Entertainment and Curbside Network, respectively. You can also find us on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to X to Nose with Evan and Bros. Joining me at the table is Mr. L. Daddy Sailor, and joining us through Zoom is Broderick O'Lynn. So the MLB just opening day was the 24th. They just started off, and they're already kind of running into some hiccups. The Miami Marlins have 14 players and coaches have tested positive for coronavirus. They have canceled their season opener. This is a big baseball show. I have not watched one inning of baseball. But this is huge. Not just for the Marlins and Jarrett Jeter, he's not the only owner, right? He is the only owner.
No, he's like
Yeah.
Part owner.
Part owner.
Part owner.
But they just played the Yankees. Irony. Ironic. And so now they're going to have to get tested. This is why the NBA bubble of having there's 22 is there 22 teams or 24 teams?
22.
22 teams in the bubble works. But also, again, when you have only 15 players on a roster, you can
So much easier. Yeah.
so much easier. What, 22 players, which is way easier, or 302 players in the NBA in the bubble, which is way easier to have. How many players on an MLB roster?
30-ish.
30?
I think.
It's like double NBA basically.
Double.
Yeah.
So then
I
you go like
I don't
600
know
and
what
something.
it is with like the new rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably had to make it smaller.
Yeah.
But still, clearly it's not working. So I don't know what this means for the MLB. I think it means they're going to have to do way more extensive. The NFL is going to find the same problem. That's why it blows my mind that the NHL had reported. Did you see their new numbers? 0
You're going into phase 4.
out of 2,000 something. I tell you what, they said heat kills coronavirus. It must be the ice. It must be cold because hockey's doing it right with the Seattle Krakens. I ordered my merch yesterday. Hopefully it'll be in soon. Anyway, I'm not invested in baseball. I don't care if it goes on, but if one of these major leagues does have to close down, it probably means that the NFL is doomed. And it definitely means that college football should be suspended, even though I don't want to admit it, because it is my second favorite sport. What do you guys think about the Miami Marlins having to cancel their season opener? New York Yankees now have to everybody get tested. It's like when I wasn't alive, but when like AIDS pandemic was around, and it's like one guy went to a party. You're like, oh, who are you with? So now all those people have to get tested. It's very similar to that scenario.
That's not how that disease works.
It's how in my head it works. That's why you don't go out. That's why you don't hang out with strangers. Since Eldad's laughing, Broderick, what do you think about the Marlins?
I feel like if this was a bigger name team, it'd be a much bigger problem.
Well, but
Like
the
the
Yankees are right behind. They're gonna.
But the Marlins just suck. They're a bad team right now. And if the Yankees are clear, they don't have many people with coronavirus, then I think they'll be fine and MLB will continue. But if the Yankees come out and they have more than like 6 or 7, I'd be very concerned if I was an MLB fan, which I am, but I obviously like NBA and NFL better. But I mean, I'd be upset because the Cleveland baseball team is doing very well. I don't know
Nicely,
if I'm allowed
nicely
to say
said,
their full name.
Roderick.
Cleveland.
He said that Cleveland baseball team.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the whole name, so I'm just going to stick with Cleveland baseball team.
All right, unpopular opinion. I don't think the name Indians is offensive. I think the logo is offensive.
They did retire the
Well, we-
logo.
They did.
we
That's
don't
no.
have the Chief Wahoo logo.
But
It's
I
just
feel
the
like
block
that
C.
name is just so associated. Like if I think Indians, I'm not thinking
But-
of the C.
But everything is. You can find anything associated with anything bad. The name for the Washington D.C. team is obviously bad because it's a derogatory term back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, the Cleveland Indians is just, it's just like if I had a team called the Augusta Zulu Warriors. A really long name, but see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. You can find something offensive in
Yeah,
anything.
I think it's just the image association because on its
that's
surface,
with
it's
Chief
not.
Wahoo, and maybe since it had 100 years of when did they retire it?
2 years ago, maybe.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
So it's still 100
I mean-
years of history with associated with that logo, and then so it's like maybe you have to just rebrand entirely. But I don't.
I mean,
But I'm
we
a white
rebrand-
guy.
I like-
They
I'm
did
so
wearing-
rebrand. They got the
I'm wearing
C,
the hat now.
but
Yeah,
I feel like nobody thinks about the C.
isn't the C? Isn't that basically the Cubbies?
Couldn't you make it better?
No. The Cubs are much different.
It's just a capital C.
And the Cubs is a lowercase c.
Well, the Cubs is like they actually
Yeah,
like
it's
designed
like
it.
it's not the block font.
Yeah. Cleveland didn't put in any effort.
Times New Roman on a
But
hat.
it had to be like a quick
Yeah.
rebrand. And I mean,
Hey, so did
better than
Washington.
Better than Washington. But back to the original topic. Enough about, even though I love talking about Cleveland sports, no one else really cares about Cleveland sports. So,
True. Not our listeners.
mhm. So the Marlins, yeah, if they were a better team, I feel like this would be a huge problem. I think the MLB needs to step up their protocol. Apparently, I've read some stuff that they allowed him to play, even though they tested positive. I don't know if there's any truth to that. I was just reading into some stuff. I don't know. I don't want to say like that was definite,
It's a
but
joke,
I think
right?
there was some rumor going around that they did test positive and they just played either way. So I think MLB needs to do a better job if that turns out to be true.
Hold on. Is that stupid?
I was gonna say this exposes a major flaw in how MLB is handling things, but if that's true, I mean,
But we've
that's-
heard about their commissioner
Yeah,
calling their even trophy a piece of metal. I mean, he's kind of a fucking loser, if you ask me.
No,
I
he
said two
doesn't-
F-bombs
two.
this entire episode. PG-13 movie. I think I get 2.
he
No,
does
you
not
only get
care
one
about
F word.
baseball. But the way the MLB season is kind of like constructed, it's you play like, isn't it like 10 games against each division rival, so it's like 40, and then you play 4 games each against the like opposing division, so it's like AL East, NL East. So really, the Marlins having it just kind of shuts down like one league basically. So like the Yankees, Philly, there's like 10 teams. It kind of split MLB into like 3 mini leagues.
A lot of the major markets.
Yeah, it does.
You just said Philly, and even though I think the Philly, is it the Flyers? Or is that their hockey team?
Phillies.
the Phillies.
The Phillies suck.
I think they're kind of good now.
Are they? I heard they
I think
suck.
so.
they have Bryce Harper. So
Oh, they do.
Evan, you really don't know much about baseball.
I'm thinking of the Pirates, bro. The Pirates are
They do-
buns.
Yeah, they do suck. But I mean, this
Shocker. I don't know anything about baseball. Do I even have a bat in here? It's right there.
Is it yours?
That's
like-
his baseball inclusion for the podcast.
It's a baseball
bat in the
bat
back.
from like 2003, Little League. What's the stick ball? What's the
Wiffle ball.
no, not wiffle ball. What's the one?
Softball?
No, when the ball is stuck on the thing.
T-ball.
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 A metal bat.
We're savages.
But I don't know. I feel like MLB had so many flaws in their plan. Like the Blue Jays don't even have a home right now. They're
Yeah.
just moving around. Like Canada
denied
kicked them
them in
out.
Pittsburgh.
Are they migrating?
Yeah,
Get it? Blue Jays migrating.
do it. But yeah, I mean, they're going around everywhere. Canada was like, no, don't bring that here. Don't bring the
Wait.
American coronavirus here.
Why are they moving around?
Because they're not allowed to play in Canada.
They're migrating. Yeah, Canada kicked them out. So it's the Toronto Blue Jays, and Canada was like, no, you're not playing
So that
here.
makes sense why Toronto Raptors are in the bubble anyway. So
Yeah, I mean,
technically, they were going to get kicked out. But I don't know. They're the champions, so maybe not.
but I know they had MLB had like tried to propose an Arizona like
Yeah.
bubble,
And now,
but I just know they probably had nothing in there that like made any sense. Like,
Yeah.
you got Corona, play, go ahead.
yeah, I'm not worried about MLB because I don't give a rat's ass
But
about
the NFL is screwed.
That's what I'm worried about. When you see these teams who are playing in their cities and they're traveling now when you see this happen with a larger roster,
Larger roster, more direct contact, like baseball.
10 times more
Yeah.
direct contact.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't even include, how do you do practice squads? How do you do practice? Because those players are coming in and out.
Well, it's like there's also like this is kind of what made me really angry about Tom Brady practicing when like Florida's like coronavirus cases were so high. Like Bruce Arians is like a 3-time cancer survivor. He's one of the most high risk people in America to die from this disease. So again, it's not even just the players. These coaches are old. In the NFL especially, they're old. Assistant coaches,
Everybody,
all of them.
all
Yeah.
of them are old. You're right, and that's a great point. Where these coaches are, I mean, you might see a ton of these coaches not even on the field.
Yeah.
Where a lot of them are going.
I know
to
Bruce Arians is like giving Leftwich
Yeah.
play calling duties.
So it's going to be a weird league if it even happens. It's going to be a weird season. And watching because this is kind of in the vein, watching the bubble happen in the NBA. So the home team, they have these monitors surrounded, right? And they zoom in fans. They're
Yeah.
zooming in fans.
It's silly.
It is silly. And then they have whichever home team is home, they're having their logos on the monitors, flashing back and forth the graphics and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
it's like a Megatron board that hover above a stadium all around surrounding. Or at least on one side, whatever the camera side's looking at. The left side of the court. I'm not a fan so far.
No, it's gimmicky.
It's gimmicky. It's very summer leaguey feel. So I can't imagine football when the players aren't really even. You can at least get sound bites from NBA players. They need to have all 22 players on the field mic'd up. That might make it interesting. Or have the DBs and the wide receivers mic'd up. Something like that.
A lot of trash talk.
Have the explicit and a non-explicit channel.
Seriously, though. I mean,
You would need it.
maybe
You would need
NFL
it.
Red Zone is explicit, and then, if ESPN is airing or CBS or NBC, one of these teams are doing Fox, one of these, bigger cable channels. But again, I don't care about MLB, so I'm not worried about it.
But it shows that you kind of need a bubble. The only risk to the bubble is the Magic City Hot Wings.
Did you see that picture
Are they good?
of the wings?
Dude,
Oh my God.
I mean,
Y'all
I'm
should-
really
Johnny
curious.
Manziel had a bunch of good things to say about it.
Hey,
Of
look
course he did.
look up the Magic City Wings. This guy on Twitter has said, hey, I see what Lou Will was talking about. He had this platter of food, and oh my God, it looked amazing. See if Instagram
Hopefully those wings were
there was an
worth losing 2
Instagram
seeding
post.
games.
Some guy, either on Twitter or on Instagram, You look it up later. You'll see. There, it was like one of the think about chicken fingers, but like that's what kind of reminded me of.
That article I just started reading started out with the stripper's name. Pretty excited to read it later. And it's all about the wings.
Let's move on away from the MLB. We got a couple smaller topics to discuss, but Kyrie Irving of NBA. Let's get some NBA talk. He was in the news for all the right reasons. He is donating $1.5 million to the WNBA, I guess, trust fund almost. Not trust fund. That sounds bad, but like a health fund for players who opt out of the season regarding health issues or other reasons. And my congratulations, Kyrie. Great job. You've been very vocal during this movement at BLM. You've been advocate for player safety. You've been a force in it. You articulate your reasonings extremely well. You always bring up points. I think I wish you did not say that flat earther crap early on in your career, because I think a lot of people always think you're spitting nonsense when they bring that up. But you really are a genius. I think you are super smart. You did go to Duke, even if it was for like 2 months. So kudos to you. And I saw on Twitter how people are, how people did compare you to, like, they shit on your name because you have had some antics or weird solutions to your problems. And so people compare you to Antonio Brown, but you are not Antonio Brown. You are far from that. You're an amazing human being, and we applaud you over here on X's and O's, F and Bros for donating your money, your time to extensive movements, and being a part of the solution and not the problem. Elda?
Yeah, it's kind of sad that it has to come down to Kyrie to do this and not an owner. Like an NBA owner could do it.
So do you think
I think the WNBA doesn't make enough money to do it.
So you do think it's up to the NBA?
I mean, it shouldn't be Kyrie. It's like when Zion had to donate his money.
I do think that's a different scenario, though, because that is your organization.
There were some
his
owners
organization.
that, like the Cavs owner was one of the first. Like I think before many of the players to just like, oh, all the staff are paid. Don't worry about it. I know you guys like.
People hate Dan Gilbert.
Yeah, they hate him, but he did help out all the. And
some
staff.
owners did that, and Mark Cuban did it.
Mark Cuban
It's not like some of these staff members haven't paid. It was just the New Orleans one was a big deal because obviously Zion, a rookie, came out and was like,
I'm doing it first.
Mm-hmm.
And he shouldn't have to, especially a 19-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid. It's stupid. But yeah, it's again, play devil's advocate. It's hard to. The WNBA doesn't make enough money. Their revenue just isn't there. I saw one NBA exec or GM say that they could lose like 50 mil like this season. I think they lose around 1 to 5 million a game that they play. So it's hard to expect them to pay for another league when them two are also going to be in the red. But again, these owners are gazillion.
Yeah, and I think the WNBA is more like closely. I'm pretty sure they revenue share to a certain extent with the NBA.
They do. They definitely.
I was about to mention.
They have some connection. They are very connected leagues. You always see NBA players promote WNBA back and forth. They do support each other. But again, it's during this time, if it wasn't such a shitty, monetarily speaking, year.
I know, but is Kyrie making his money from the bubble?
I don't know but he has most players make their money from endorsements and stuff.
But
like
if he has the money from his
1.5
endorsements, then the owners should have it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but Drew Brees is donating $5 million to COVID relief in New Orleans, another $5 million. So nobody's talking about that.
Brees has made a lot more money than Kyrie Irving.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean,
think
for
how long-
sure, because
think-
Breeze has been in
Well,
the league.
ju-
like,
just-
Breeze has been
But
in
I
the
still-
league for a while and has
but
had a
if
lot
we're-
more endorsements.
But if we,
throughout the
well,
years.
I mean, I don't know. I don't. Maybe. If you look at probably Drew Brees' highest paid contract and look at Kyrie Irving's highest paid contract, guaranteed money, compare the two.
I mean, I think
yeah,
Drew Brees-
Irving has a shot at being more, but
Total
I feel like Breeze
Irving
was just-
earnings, Drew Brees has made more.
Yeah,
But I'm saying, like this past contract, I bet, because we know how NBA contracts are,
Mhm.
they're a lot higher than NFL. And Drew Brees did not hit this signing period where Mahomes and all
well,
these
he's been
guys.
taking like pay cuts
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
So I'm just saying at his most, because think about it, when Peyton Manning and back in 2009, Peyton Manning and Brett Favre, you know what their contract was per year? 12. Are you kidding me? That's absurd. So I'm not saying, so I'm saying I think Drew Brees is probably total has made more, but I don't think it's that wide of a gap that some people would think. And Kyrie has plenty of endorsements.
Yeah, it's just Breeze has been around for
yeah.
an extra.
Almost 2 decades.
Oh no, because Kyrie entered the league
11.
2013. No, not 2011. 2012, 2013. Breeze has been around since early 2000s, right?
Kyrie did not enter the league in 2012, 2013.
Well, it wasn't 2011.
Because 2013 was Anthony Bennett.
I mean, it was around.
I think
it had
that's
to be like
13,
2012.
14.
2012 was Anthony Davis. And Kyrie was in the league before Davis.
Then Kyrie was drafted in 2011 and played in the 2012 season.
Yeah, I said 2011, but you were like 2012, 2013.
No, I know he didn't play in 2011 though. Like that was
He
the
was
year
drafted in 2011. So he had his
Yeah.
rookie contract deal.
Yeah, so he started playing like 2012, and so he got his real big contract 2016. Yeah, because he was rookie deals 4 years. So Drew Brees probably has like a decade on him in terms of actual.
Didn't
big
they
contracts.
re-sign him the year that LeBron came?
I think so. Yeah,
Kyrie that
Yeah.
summer. So 2015. That summer.
LeBron came back in 2014.
24. So that okay.
it's like around there. Yeah,
Around there. Because they promised him it was like this would be your team and they signed him and then
yeah.
brought in LeBron a month later.
Because the last year of his rookie deal, I want to say was 2014, 2015.
All right, we're on agreement. This is a really
we're-
good thing.
yeah.
That's a good.
we
all
got too
happy.
off track.
We're all happy for Kyrie. But we shouldn't have to be happy for him, but we are happy for him because he is doing a lot. Right?
Right. This is great. I mean, he gets this bad guy kind of spotlight when really, I mean, he cares about the community. He cares about Black Lives Matter. He cares about WNBA and getting them kind of like the equal representation that NBA does. So he's a good guy that just gets this bad guy reputation.
Again, I think it's because if he didn't say a lot of those silly
He
things,
voices
Yeah.
a lot of his opinions incorrectly. I think.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
then
It's very hastily put. Yeah.
if that wasn't the case, then I think he would have been fine, and then people would hold him at a different standard than they do now. But because saying he would have been in rafters and in Boston, and when it's all
And then
said and
leaving.
done, and then leaving a year later, and it's like and the flat earther stuff and all that, I think has just been, and then obviously bad mouthing LeBron or reports of bad. You never know what really happened behind closed doors. I would love either 30 for 30 or something like that. Kyrie leaving Cleveland. Like what really? Or like a tell all. He probably would never do it. But I would love to hear him talk about it.
I'd love to hear a tell all about all superstars that wanted to leave their teams.
Or KD, leaving OKC in the beginning. Or this past time leaving
Golden State. Yeah.
leaving Golden State. I would love to hear his reasonings and why he didn't choose the Knicks. What was, we heard about, you were saying how apparently some guy blew it really big time in the meetings. It'd be interesting to see I think they are working on a doc on the Miami team. I think that's being put together.
Yeah.
But finishing up, let's talk about that. Circle back around to the NFL. How a new report, breaking news: six players have officially declined, have opted out of the season for the Patriots. They're not the only ones. A couple other players have opted out as well. Eddie Goldman
from the Bears.
Starting
loss.
Starting defensive tackle for the Bears. Again, yes, huge loss. Because they do run a 3-4, so he's their starting nose guard basically, which is right over the center, which is an important piece because they do run only one defensive tackle. Majority obviously have backups and people that cycle in and out, but he is their starter, and he's a really good player.
He's really good, yeah.
Good and young. So that's a major loss for a defense that is the strong point, and because that front office, similar to Cleveland, it's a make it or break it year for the quarterback, from Matt Nagy, for the GM, because they all came in around the same time. It's a prove it year, and losing that side of the defensive ball is huge. So I think over the next few days, because training camp's going to begin soon. I think did they cancel preseason?
Yeah.
Canceled preseason. So over these next couple of weeks, you're going to be seeing hopefully not too many high-profile players. Obviously, Dante Hightower, which we mentioned in the beginning, pretty high-profile player. He's been the anchor of that defense for 2011, so 9 years going on, 3 Super Bowls. He was crucial in their last win. Have a fumble, I think either a fumble recovery or forced fumble.
Oh, he was big, yeah.
Yeah, he was huge. He made an argument for defensive player for the MVP of that game. So I hope we don't see too many star players drop out, but do it for your health, do it for your family, do what's important. The MLB will influence this. Don't mistake it will. Even if the NFL say they have everything under control, it was clear it took them this long to get an agreement done with the NFLPA. So they do not have everything figured out. And so they're going to have to do extensive testing. Thoughts? Concerns?
Do we see a shortened NFL season?
Well, it's already short without preseason. And they just expanded.
Do we see them
Isn't this the year they expanded the playoffs?
I think so.
Yeah, it's 7 seeds now.
Yeah. And then the next
do we see them cut
that's
off
kinda
just
game.
a few games to try to delay the start and work out more the kinks of the protocol?
It could be based off city and state.
I don't even know if that changes anything, because I mean, it's not a coincidence that these players are opting out basically as soon as the Marlins thing came out. Like you had Marcus Cannon, since he had like lymphoma, it's like, I'm out. Anybody who has a newborn like Dante Hightower, I just can't see them playing.
Child born on the 16th. We basically share a birthday. I'm honored.
But I don't even.
Yeah,
I don't know if shortening the season does anything.
Yeah, so this is looking rough for the NFL. I'm already out on fall sports, so hopefully NFL doesn't get canceled. Or
The SEC is making a decision soon.
Really?
Didn't it say the 31st by the end of this month? They were going
They're
to
running
make.
out of time.
We got a few more days, so the SEC makes their decision on how they're going to be approaching the games. I think Alabama's still practicing.
Everything is normal.
And the SEC, I mean, because obviously Ohio State canceled all their practices. They didn't deliver the numbers, but I'm guessing it was high.
Oh, it had to have been.
It had, I mean, maybe even higher than Clemson's 34 players, because
If it was low, they would tell us.
yeah. They would, only 10
Only
players.
3, but we're just canceling it.
They'd be bragging about it. It's
They'd
like,
be bragging.
only 2 players.
So
The NBA is like, God, we got 3 players. College teams would love if only 3 of their players had it.
it would be, so the SEC would be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. These fall sports are in danger.
Big wild card.
Big wild card. If you see the SEC cancel their football season
It's over.
for all fall sports, I mean, I could see where the bubble, because I think the NBA wanted to do a November start for, right? draft in October for the 2021
Yeah, something
season?
like that.
Start around Christmas.
I think it started
Christmas?
around
Am
Christmas,
I wrong?
but draft in
It's
like
right around Christmas.
early November,
All right.
late October.
Yeah, so I could see that being postponed. Once they finish this off, then see how the rest of fall sports turn out. Who knows? All right. That is episode 10, double digits, y'all. I'm so excited. This has been a whole lot of fun. I hope you continue to be on this ride with us because we're not going to stop. We're just getting started. L Daddy, hit that outro. It's been a great episode 10. Had a rough start. I'll see y'all Friday. Peace.